Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 292, Yoga Aphorisms of Patanjali. There's a link in the description to where you can get my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books, blogs. There are a couple of works there that touch on Hinduism. I would like to issue a statement regarding the Hindu astrologer, which is in the divination section. That one's not actually from the East, it's purely Occidental in nature. I mentioned that in the listing, but I have had a couple of people complain about that actually. This is 58 pages, so a relatively short read. I'm currently doing a pair of full-length works as well, so I'm sort of, as we approach the big 300, I want to focus on a few of the longer works, especially folkloric. This is a really good work, and it's actually a little bit of backstory, and you can actually Google this, and there's a fairly lengthy Wikipedia article. And it's mentioned in the foreword, actually, by William Judge, who did the interpretation and analysis in the 1920 edition, actually. That's the posthumous release by the Theosophical Press. He, of course, died several decades prior. In his analysis, he points out that, in his opinion, because it's just a strictly opinion, the Patanjali responsible for this and several other mystic and religious works is not the same as a different Patanjali from a different era potentially that did a work on grammar. It appears that they may have actually been the same, and apparently this debate has not been solved yet. I would point out it's probable that they would be linked as the same person, because back then, many centuries ago, the clerical, like religious side of things, and science and education and grammar were all the same thing. So the court wizard was both alchemist and chemist. He was both historian and folklorist in the more literal and non-superstitious sense. He was both interested in astrology and astronomy. Science and the occult were intertwined, history, all of these other things. The basic format here is a series of short statements on the yogic system itself, on the nature of divinity, meditation, various things. And a lot of them have entries thereafter to be more fleshed out and explained from the theosophical perspective of William Judge, one of the more famous theosophists of the late 1800s. The analysis is interesting. The original aphorisms are presented verbatim from an original translation from some time before, and Judge makes it clear that he hasn't altered the translation. It's not a retranslation attempt, but in his analysis a couple of times he does say, well, this word may have been substituted improperly, because one problem in linguistics is that sometimes you might not technically have a literal translation from one language to another, and sometimes the literal translation is wrong now, isn't it? If I try to translate a person in English saying, well, I feel blue today, if I try to translate that to Mandarin Chinese in the literal sense, it might mean something totally different. The real word that is intoned, the real insinuation, is that they feel sad, under the weather, not quite with it. But if I literally translate it, they feel the color blue. They feel like they're the same color as a blueberry or the sky or something. Obviously doesn't work. So that does play a role in this work, and that's actually, I think my favorite part of this is the linguistic analysis thereupon, because I'm interested in linguistics. As far as, for those of you who are interested in the yogic system and sort of the Eastern tradition of yoga as a broader spiritual thing, definitely worth a read. So again, link in the description of my edition of this work on Amazon. Second and third links are to my books, blogs. There are a few other works that are about like yoga and Hinduism and things of that nature available. I am going to delve deeper into that eventually, because there are dozens and dozens of good copyright-free works on the subject that really need proper modern editions as well. That's about all. Peace out.